in the heart of Vienna, within the vast halls of the Hofburg Palace. There is a story that has been told for centuries. A story of a woman in white who appears only at certain moments. Moments that, according to legend, are never random. Because when she is seen, something follows. Illness, crisis, even death. Members of the Habsburg family claim to have seen her. Servants spoke of her in hushed voices. And over time, her presence became something more than a story. She became a warning, a silent figure in white, who appears before the fall of those who rule. Or at least, that's what the legend says. Welcome to Of Mountains and Men, where we explore mysteries, myths, and legends from the Alps and beyond. Tonight, we remain in Vienna, in the shadow of emperors and palace walls, and follow one of the city's most enduring ghost stories, the White Lady of the Hofburg. A silent figure said to appear before illness, crisis, and death. Or at least, that's what the legend says. To understand this story, we need to begin with the Hofburg. For centuries, this vast palace complex was the political and symbolic center of the Habsburg Empire. It was more than just a residence. It was a city within a city, a place of power, ceremony, and constant movement. Emperors ruled from here. Decisions were made that affected millions across Europe. And within its walls, generations of the Habsburg family lived, celebrated, and died. Places like the Hofburg were not only places of politics, they were places of memory. And over time, those memories began to take shape in stories. Stories of footsteps in empty corridors, of doors opening without cause, and of a figure seen only by a few. She is usually described the same way: a pale woman, dressed in white, silent, still. She does not speak. She does not interact. She simply appears. Sometimes at the end of a corridor, sometimes near a doorway, and sometimes just standing, watching. In many accounts, she is not immediately recognized as something supernatural. At first, she appears almost ordinary, That's until she vanishes. Or until those who saw her realize that no one else was even there. The identity of the White Lady has been debated for centuries. The most common explanation links her to a Countess Kunigunde. According to legend, she lived in the 14th century, and her story is a dark one. It is said that she fell in love with a nobleman, but he would not marry her while her children were still alive. So, she made a fateful decision. She killed her own children, believing it would remove the obstacle between them. But when she returned, expecting to be accepted, she was rejected. Horrified by what she had done, from that moment on, she became a wandering figure in legend. A woman marked by guilt, condemned to appear again and again, never at peace. Now, whether this connection is historically accurate is another question. But like many legends, the story persisted because it explained something people could not. What made the White Lady truly feared was not just her appearance. It was what followed. Over time, stories began to circulate within the Habsburg court. Stories that her presence was not random, that she seemed to appear before significant events, and most often before death. Members of the imperial family were said to have seen her shortly before falling ill. Servants whispered of sightings in the days before a ruler died. And slowly, the legend took on a new meaning. She was no longer just a cursed ghost. She was a sign, a warning, or perhaps a reminder that even emperors are not beyond fate. From a historical perspective, there is no definite evidence that a ghost walked the halls of Hofburg. But that is not unusual. Legend like this rarely leaves behind documents or proof. What they leave behind instead is repetition. Stories told again and again, across generations, in different forms. The White Lady appears not only in Vienna, but in other European courts as well, often connected to noble families, often associated with death. Which raises an interesting question. Was this a single legend that spread across Europe? Or a reflection of something deeper? Maybe a shared fear in places where power and mortality existed side by side. Today, the Hofburg is no longer the seat of an empire. Its halls are filled with visitors. Tourists walk through rooms where emperors once lived. And most will never think of the stories tied to these walls. But if you walk through the palace slowly, through its quieter corridors, it's not difficult to imagine how such a legend could take hold. A figure in white, a silent presence, a moment where something feels just slightly out of place. Whether the White Lady was ever truly seen, we cannot say. But the story remains. And like so many legends in Vienna, it lingers. Somewhere between history and imagination.